come in, create a new dynamic map, sit down, and you're going to want to add at least one device of each type that the procedure is contemplated to work with. Add at least one device of each type to the map. The reason we're going to want to do that is some runbook steps get complainy, shall we say, if you try to add them and there's nothing for them to actually look at by default. So to avoid that, just, if this is going to work on iOS, JunoOS, and Extreme, we want one of each, and that should work with it. And then same deal, take your executive summary, copy paste it in here, make sure it's all formatted. Step 1, what type of runbook step suits step 1? Make it equivalent, build adaptive automation as need be. It is not only acceptable, but it's actually quite normal to build pieces of adaptive automation to suit specific steps in specific procedures. That is a very normal thing to do. And then go ahead and tag it, make sure everything is just so, put descriptions and everything, and then save it as a template. And then if later you find you need to update the procedure, which you will eventually, everything needs to be updated in due course, what you're going to want to do is load in an existing runbook template, make any changes that need to be made, and then save it over the existing one. And the other thing is, this goes with any file type in NetBrain, don't save over the built-in templates, because next time we push an update from the Knowledge Cloud, anything that we push is going to just, without any confirmation, just going to overwrite anything that you might have of the same name in the built-in section. So you definitely want to, if you want your own version of any of this, just take a copy into the shared section and mess with that. All right, that's what I've got for you guys. So any questions about anything that we've discussed up to this point, ladies and gentlemen? All right. So just to review, with the parser files.
Sorry, Matt, I think Max has got a question in the chat.
Oh, surely. Let's see. Is there any way to export runbooks or runbook templates? Runbook templates, yes. So they can be exported, I believe. So if we right click, we can export this. .rbt appears to be the extension. And I believe that's also going to include copies, to the integrated copies of any adaptive automation that is included. Can you merge runbooks as well? Not mechanically, but there's nothing to stop you from making a runbook that with different branches and so forth. But my advice is to keep your runbook templates for troubleshooting different specific things. And then we're not going to get into it in any of these classes, but there's a thing called a guidebook that you can make that will, based on different symptoms and so forth, you can point people to different runbook templates. So that would be almost your higher level initial diagnosis.
Can you run a runbook from within another runbook?
No. You would have separate runbooks within the same map.
I was just thinking like an automated version of the guidebook, so you could have a runbook that detects symptoms and then runs a different runbook depending on...
Oh, I see. No, you would put that in the description, go find runbook X and run it if this turns red, things like that. One thing that's slightly along those lines, if you have data view templates, one of the things you can do in a data view template is you can have recommended automation, either just general recommended automation, or it can be an icon like this with the white and the arrow next to a data point below a device or along a link line. So it can be just always show up as recommendation, or it can or it can be conditional and next to a data point, but you can actually have it suggest things, including runbook templates based on different things that it finds. So that might be another way to guide people into the correct runbook, although it says add to current runbook. Let's see. Oh, I guess you can append from there. So let's see. Can I do this? Create runbook, install runbook to DVD. Yeah. So apparently you can't do it from here for some reason. But as part of a recommended automation, so why is it here and not there? Sometimes when they add a new feature, they forget to think through and add it everywhere in the platform where it might be relevant. So sorry about that. Yeah, definitely let them know on the, if anyone cares, let them know on the suggestion board on the NetBrain Exchange. All right, so Craig wants to know, can you run a report to show me all the parsers that have an interface that is down? Okay, so the parser would not have an interface that is down. It is the device that would have an interface that is down. So first of all, yes, you can run a report. So what you would do is, if you want, by a report, I think you want like a CSV. So there's two ways you can do that. One is you can probably create a whole cluster of intents to check interface status, and then say, if it's found to be down, build a CSV that contains all of the alerts. So we would say which interfaces on which devices are down. The other thing is you can create a Q app to pull showing data, narrow it down to just anything whose status says down, and then export the remaining table to CSV. That's effectively the same result. So.
Hi, Selena. How are you doing?
Good. So do you have a question, Chris? Oh, I guess that was the wrong channel. All right. Okay. Any other questions about what we covered in class before we finish up, folks?
That was a very excellent class. Thank you very much, Matt.
You're very welcome. So yeah, in just a minute, once we've done post-class, so nobody leave just yet, please. I actually should have done this earlier, but I need to snapshot who all's here. So hopefully nobody's already left. Good grief. Really recall we went through at least 3 different methods of parsing, keyword, paragraph, and table parsing. Again, there's other stuff that we didn't get to. More of that has gone over to runbook templates import. Oh, that's easy. As with any file type in NetBrain, go into the appropriate file system, right-click on a folder, and import. That holds true for, as far as I know, any file type in NetBrain that's exportable. Okay, so thank you for coming, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and mark attendance. So let me just show you guys before people start dropping here. What we're going to do is we're going to go to nbu.netbraintech. All of you except...
I didn't.
So I guess that's another thing to do tomorrow. Comes up. The big thing is you're going to want to, because there's usually a space, so let's say VLAN 99, you're going to want to put double quotes around it so that it's only going to return this precise phrase.
Okay.
And so obviously your mileage may vary depending on how things are phrased. Typically you'd be getting config results, but you know, what do I want to search for within the config files are equivalent for different operating systems, and then add them to the map. So that's the easiest way to do it.
Okay. Okay. Thanks. I'll mess around with that. Thank you.
Yep. And likewise, if you want to have a more permanent map for your different VLANs, you can actually create device groups, and then dynamically defined device groups, and then using the config file contains whatever as a criterion is usually a pretty good way to go for that.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay, am I able to walk through the VPN IPsec tunnels that NetBrain can control versus monitor? There's a specific course for that. So we do support IPsec. In fact, that's IPsec can, if it's present, becomes a whole separate L3 topology layer. as far as control versus monitor, so NetBrain doesn't really control anything. It's just, aside from, like I said, change management, which is just pushing CLI scripts, Jason, NetBrain is simply, it's simply reading information and processing it. So we can certainly, what's the word, detect IPsec through benchmarking and so forth. We can show it in the topology. We can monitor it if you build adaptive automation to check for whatever specifically you want to monitor and then run it on a regular basis to find when it's in trouble, things like that. But in terms of controlling IPsec, that's just not, or anything else really, that's not what NetBrain does. So maybe I'm just misunderstanding your question, but that's my on the face of it response. I don't have any content specifically for IPsec because if you understand the principles that NetBrain operates on tend to apply to just about any platform or any technology. No, NetBrain is a day two solution. It is a read-only platform except for change management. It's, yeah. So if you were to be setting up your tunnels via CLI scripts, change management could certainly help you plan your setup and then allow you to easily deploy your setup by pushing scripts if you have the optional change management module. But that's as far as NetBrain could go in terms of control, so to speak.
Matthew, network change has the same structure as runbook. Is it actually a special kind of runbook?
Precisely. It's a special kind of runbook that is associated with a change management task in NetBrain. So all your normal runbook steps are available, and there's a few special ones as well. And we'll go into all of that in NetBrain 204 this afternoon or next week.
Okay, and what about network change templates? Can they also be exported, imported? Because I couldn't find it.
I don't actually know. Let's see. Look at our templates here. Apparently not. So sorry about that. I don't know why.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, that seems like a bit of an oversight, unless there's a mechanical reason for it. So the class this afternoon is NetBrain 204. So if we go into NetBrain University and open up NetBrain 204, well, this is still showing for the last time I failed that class, so to speak. Okay, so yeah, there's one this afternoon, and then there's one next Thursday on in the same time slot. So same class.
I got the beginning part where you talked about the parsers, and then I guess I missed the linkage. You went into runbooks, but there was no association between the two, right? Is there like you didn't use parsers in the runbooks or the intents, correct?
Not yet, not in this class. That's in NetBrain 202. So the reason I talk about runbook templates in this class is, frankly, this is the part where we kind of had space.
Oh, okay.
And at least, you know, now I should probably move it to NetBrain 203. I should talk to my colleagues about that because there's a lot more time available in that workflow. But anyway, as originally conceived, there was, you know, it only takes so long to talk about building parsers usually, and then we had this extra chunk of time where we wanted to talk about building runbook templates. Let's put that in the end there.
Oh,
That's
okay,
that was the logic there.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
and in 202, we are actually going to use parser files to build simple automation right from an execute CLI command step in the runbook. And so the parsers are used to build adaptive automation that are then most often used through a runbook
Got it.
or something else in the sidebar.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right, thanks.
You're welcome. Yeah, just to underscore that, let's go back to here. So